Hi, and welcome to MataSync's Skill of the Week. This week we are going to be going over how to give permissions with MataSync. There are 3 different ways of accomplishing this, and through this we will be able to give out permissions to both individual people along with specific groups. So what permissions are they are the ability you give to certain groups or certain people to access tools that are not widely accessible to the rest of your portal. For instance, if we were to have, let's say, a social events director in our club, we would probably want them to have complete access over the events tool. And this makes sense because they would be planning events and planning certain fundraisers that we would want on the calendar. So we would want them to have complete access to this tool. This is access we would probably not want the rest of our portal to have. So, with that being said, let's go over the 3 different ways of accomplishing giving out permissions with MataSync. So to begin, on our toolbar at the home page of our portal, in this case we'll be using MataSync headquarters, if we go to Settings and Organizational Settings, you'll see that one of the tools available is Permissions. Now, you will see a list of blue-colored icons, each of which representing one of the different tools available in MataSync. Click on one, and it will take you directly to that tool's permissions availability. Now, when it comes to setting the availability, you'll see at the very top of this page 5 different options of what you can set the availability for that tool to. Your first option is Manage, in which case you're giving that person complete administration control over that tool, which means they can accomplish anything that is available with that tool. Contribute is the ability to add to and participate in discussions or in the use of tools. View only refers to the ability to view add-ons or discussions with that tool, but not the ability to add to them. Disable essentially removes the tool from sight for all of your portal members except for the individuals that you give specific access to that tool to. And default will set the access for everyone to whatever is already set in terms of the actual portal. So now, why don't we go over an example? So for instance, if you decided that you wanted to handle the permissions for, let's say, the Files tool, what you would do is you would first go to the Files icon, click on it, and it will take you to the Files tool. Right in this bar, you'll see the options that the Files tool has in terms of setting permissions, and you can select any of those for the entire portal. You can also, over at this green arrow, turn it off, which means that no one has access to the tool at all, including administrators, so at this point it's off. When we see the green light, that means it will turn back on, so let's go do that real quick. Alright, so now if we head back over to our little bar with all of our permissions options, we'll see the options to manage, contribute, view only, which we can select right now, and right under that we also saw the option for disable. So we'll select it to disable, which means no one can use it. However, if we go to the little icon under this, which is to grant additional permissions to specific groups, we can, despite the fact that the tool has been disabled, give these specific groups specific access that everyone else lacks. So for instance, if we were to select, let's say for the officers, the contribute option, that means that they can contribute to the Files tool even though no one else can. And if we give everyone else view only access, they can view what the officers are putting into the Files tool even though the rest of the group can't. And if we were to select default, that means that the disabled option that we selected earlier would still apply to all of them. And that is the basic idea behind giving specific permissions to specific groups despite the overarching decision we make for the portal. In addition, if you look right below the give additional permissions options, you'll see the ability to make this tool public. That just means that if a person is not part of our portal and were to enter in, they would be able to see that tool and everything that was in it. And as you can see, a few of our tools do have that access. It is up to you if you want outside members viewing that. It is also important to remember that all of this is happening at the administration level. So if you in your portal don't have access to, let's say, the bookmarks tool, you need to contact your administrator of that portal and ask why. There may be a reason, there may be an accidental turnoff of that tool. It is their job to give permissions in their group. That being said, some tools may be removed from portals altogether, but that's something that you'll figure out with your administrator. Now for the second way of going about giving permissions, we're going to go to the People tool. And from the People tool, you'll see it opens to this Invite People window, but we're not going to worry about that right now. We are going to select a person. And why don't we select Brianna Kyle? And from clicking on her icon, we can see this window pop up. And we can see right below her name the options for permissions. We click on that, and we have a list of all the tools. From looking at this list, we can tell that Brianna has absolutely no access to any of the tools in this portal. We know this because the little boxes next to each individual tool is blank. When a blue check mark appears next to them, that's when you know that that person has access to that tool. Now I can give Brianna access to a tool because I am an admin and she is not. Admins cannot alter tool access for other admins. That's just one of the safety features. So if Brianna was our social director like we were talking about, we would give her access to the events tool. That's access, and once we click on it again, that represents no access. From here, we can access our third method of giving out permissions. We can see right under that little sentence is Manage Group Permissions. Click on that, and boom, we are back to the same page we were at before with the same rules applying. All that you need to know there is that from that Permissions tab for an individual person, we go back to the Group Permissions tab if we so desire. And that is this week's Skill of the Week. I will see you all next week. Have a good one. Bye-bye.